Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. There are a few books starting to accrue up or on the bottom of the steps, so it's slowly building itself back to the usual piles. The piles that were there before we did the whole transformation of the house are still existing. They're upstairs in one of the bedrooms on a table, and they will gradually make their way downstairs. But in the meantime, I've done a little bit of shopping at a couple of different bookstores and have been picking up a few things here and there. I've got a couple of books to talk about today. I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to focus on because surprisingly, I've read a lot of since I last talked about books themselves. I'd like to start with Beverly Right Here by Kate Dicamillo. Now, Kate Dicamillo has written so many good books, and they have been both middle grade books and younger reader books, and I think she's maybe even written, has she written young adult? I'm not positive. Basically anything she writes, I read. She's just got such a gift for her characters. Her plots are interesting. They are generally a little bit off the beaten track in some fashion, and her writing styles are just, she's so gifted as a craftsperson in the writing. This one is different than others. Many of the others really evoke scene or atmosphere. This one is really brief. The character has opted into saying as little as possible. Beverly, the main character, she has run away from home. Things have not gone well there, and her dog has died. And so she's decided, there's just, what's the point in being here? So she takes off, but she is not a conversationalist. She's not mute by any means, but she's just opts into not engaging. And she gets fair way from home because she manages to get a ride right off the bat and ends up just on the roadside somewhere, and comes across an elderly lady who's willing to take her in. And shortly thereafter, she finds a job just up the road on the highway, and doesn't really make a friend of the other waitress because it's like a fish restaurant. But she makes connection, and there's another person that she makes connection with at a store just a little bit up the way. So it's interesting that this highway just runs back and forth through the story, and these 3 or 4 locations create this fairly disjointed community, but the people who are involved are very connected, and just it's a bunch of people you see along the sides of society, if you like. There's always someone who's sitting on a bench by themselves. Just a whole bunch of these people have made it together and have come to support each other as friends towards the end. Well, there's very interesting moments where Beverly has to make snap decisions about whether she's going to engage with something that she feels is right or wrong, but because she's so protective of herself and what she needs to be doing, she's reluctant to come out of her world, I guess, and approach the rest of the world. I couldn't decide who this was geared for. In a one way, she's what is her actual age? I think her actual age is 17, 18. At the same time, the way the story is presented, I think that it's quite suitable for a younger teen. And Beverly is not set up for success. So at the end of the story, we are left with a bit of a cliffhanger on how Beverly's going to go forward and whether she is going to have some kind of success. I like that it's an open-ended story, but yeah, I really found this quite pleasant to read. And I probably did it. Oh, sorry, the sun's catching the glare there. I think I read it in a day. It was a very fast read. I really enjoyed the character of Beverly. Okay, this one was recommended to me from BookTube somewhere. I never make that piece of information present in my brain as to who actually recommended it. The Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies by Allison Goodman. It was fun. It was fun. We've got two sisters, and the two sisters are Gus Augustus and her sister Selena, and they are sort of mystery solving, but within the constraints of the Regency era, early Regency. So lots of prescriptions on women's in particular behavior and so on, and how do they solve these dilemmas or mysteries. Well, they're not really mysteries. They're more women in trouble that these two sisters help to extricate. And each story is just a little bit more intense in what it is that the woman in trouble needs to be rescued from. It's not done as novellas. It's just that one crisis becomes resolved and then the next crisis arises. And there's some interesting secondary characters in here. There's a highwayman that gets embroiled in the story fairly early, and then there is a what were they called in the early days? Before they were police. Oh my goodness. Anyways, he's sort of a detective, but without the authority yet of the police, and he's trying to find the oh my gosh, words begin to fail me. The highway robber man. The highwayman. So these two men are sort of at odds, but at the same time they become drawn together by the two sisters, and it's a romp. It's fun. I don't love the pacing. Well, I found it a slow read. I enjoyed it. It was different than a lot of the other Austen era books. I liked that these two ladies were helping other women get out of the troubles that you would encounter, like for instance, women had no access to their property. I mean, on marriage, they were basically penniless and homeless if their husband decided that was the way to go. So those kinds of dilemmas women would face and not be able to have any agency. So these two sisters are helping other women to get agency. I liked it. I just didn't think it was the best of the best. I think if Allison Goodman is writing she is writing other stuff, but if it comes under my nose, I will pick it up. Okay. This is a middle book recommendation. I know that Middlemarch is coming up in 2-3 days, where the month of March, one of the themes for the month of March is reading middle grade books. I picked this one up because Ellen Raskin had written The Westing Game, which I had spoken about a little while ago, and that had won the Newbery. So I looked up her other works, and The Tattooed Potato and Other Clues is a fun little book about a young girl. Her name is Dickory Dock, so she's got lots of tribulations happening with her name. She has come upon a bunch of different kinds of mysteries and clues, and wants to solve them. It's just a fun book. It's charming. It's not as good as Westing Game, and I think if you can get it from your library, that would be the best way to go about it. It's not really a book to buy. I think now she's written two others that I'm interested in, and I'll look for it in used bookstores: Figs and Phantoms, which was a Newbery Honor book, and The Mysterious Disappearance of Leon. And then in brackets it says, I mean Noel, which is Leon backwards. So it's good. It's well written. The character is fun. She's got lots of interesting people that she encounters in the solving of these little problems, and they're not oversimple. It's not like someone's trying to find a lost gerbil. The stories are a lot more complex. There's a lot more interaction between good and evil, and so there's a good amount of tension in this book. Okay, Just Under the Clouds. You know what? I didn't finish this one. Okay. Alice Feeney wrote Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I think this was a mystery of some excitement last year, and I can't say that I thought it was astonishing. We've got a married couple, and there's the screenwriter Adam Wright has face blindness, and in the process of his life, he's really struggled with this, and he's relied often on his wife to help him out with the social problems of having face blindness. And he's got a wife, Amelia, who, for whatever different reasons, they're not disclosed right at the beginning, has come to feel that the marriage is sort of teetering. It's not doing as well. While we're getting to know this couple and what their issues are, every so often we get a letter from the wife. Every year she writes one on the date of their anniversary. And for traditionalists, year one of a wedding anniversary might be a gift of tin. Maybe year 3 is a gift of paper. So there's, I think Hallmark invented that. But, like a silver jubilee we all know about. So traditional gifts are being given at every wedding anniversary, and a letter is being written every year at the anniversary. And the couple have received a weekend away up in Scotland in a very, very remote B&B. It's in an old church, and they go up without. Do they take the dog? I can't remember if the dog goes along. Yes, the dog goes along. And as we go, the tension is building between the wife and the woman, between the dog and the people, and the building of the Airbnb or B&B is unexpected. It's not as good a deal as they thought it was, but they got it for free. A snowstorm comes in, so they're having troubles finding the food, and does the water work, and it's just tension, and then they go to bed, and there's more tension, and then we start to get some suspense and some eeriness and some weird noises, and so it's definitely a suspense novel. There is, now, I don't know, someone the other day said that if you say these next words, it's a spoiler, but brace yourself. There's a very interesting twist towards the end, and I think it's that twist at the end that makes this book worth reading. Initially, I was kind of thinking, taking a long time to be compelling. It's just an average couple on an average bad weekend, and then it's not really until the snow comes in and that particular tension starts to build that you think, oh, this is actually a pretty good story. Now, Alice Feeney, has she written other books? Well, actually, this book has been opted for Netflix, so that might be shown. When was this published? 2021, so maybe that's going to show up soon. She's also written Sometimes I Lie, I Know Who You Are, and His and Hers. Okay, Sometimes I Lie is supposed to be a movie. I don't know. That's not the kind of thing I pay attention to, but yeah, it's definitely a good plot, and I recommend that one. Okay, somewhere along the line, I decided to do a reread of this book, Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. It is a young adult's book, fantasy, because I don't even know how many years ago. It's got to be ages ago. My daughter would have been a teenager when this was recommended to me. And I remember reading it and loving it, and then thinking, did I ever finish that series? So I decided to, dip back in and see. There are, I think in total, there are something like 7 books in the 7 Waters series. But this particular group, there's also The Son of the Shadows and Child of the Prophecy. And it has, this particular book is a retelling of the swans, where the brothers are turned into swans, and the sister has to turn the sheets from the shirts into. First, she has to start with the nettles, and then spin and weave and cut and sew, and then get them on all brothers at one of the solstices. And the daughter, the sister, has so many things happen to her while she's having to do this horrendous job. And ends up, it starts in Ireland and then moves over to Britain, and that's really a trauma as to how that appeared. And then she continues to encounter all sorts of obstacles to her goals. Of course, as a bit of time is passing, it's becoming harder and harder for her brothers to find her, and they're becoming more and more into the world of the wild swans. So how do they get to be a man twice a year, thinking like a man. So there's definitely stuff around witchcraft and magic, and it's a good retelling of the Swan stories. I've read a few since and haven't loved them, and I think, in hindsight, it's because to me this is the best of that version on that particular fairy tale retelling. I think this book has so much else happening with the sister and the people around her that it's not just that story that we're getting. There's wars, and there's conflict, and there's villages being disrupted, and so there's just quite a lot of action happening in the background of the story. So I like it as much as I liked it the first time, and I don't know if I'm going to go after books 2 and 3. I think that's going to be another one where if there's a gap in what's coming for me, I might put something on hold at the library. Probably make a good summer reading, because you know how I like to just binge read. But I'm not right in the mood for book 2 and 3. I think that as I say those words, I do think it is in fact a summer job, a summer thing to do. Well, I do have other books that I have read that, how long are we? 17 minutes. I think I'll leave it for the next time, because the book that I'm thinking about is The Innocents by Michael Crummy, which is on the long list for Canada Reads, which will start, I think, if not today, it will start next Monday. I'm not sure, but this is the month that Canada Reads talks about their books. But since it's on the long list, it probably will not be referred to. But there was a whole bunch of background hysteria about this book that I didn't know about at the time. I heard about it as a piece of gossip. So I have gossip about this book. I really liked it, but I think it's worth a video of its own. So I'll bring that to you next week. And I think that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye for now.